Sleeves. Get ready for this fight. Gotta roll up them damn sleeves, boy. Mm. feel like I'm I feel like I'm in the principal's office for Nintendo, and the principal's coming in 117 and counting. uh, let's make that bigger so I can see it better. Yeah, sorry for the late start, guys. What can I say? Streamlabs wants to do what it wants to do when it wants to do it. So luckily, I had the original OBS set up and ready to go just in case. Streamlabs is always, not always, but a lot of times fickle. NYC Majestic, love you too, man. Love you too. Thanks for joining. We're gonna get in. We're gonna get in. Yeah, I had to start. I just jumped my little counter because I'm already late. Thanks to Streamlabs, or thanks to, yeah, Streamlabs. OBS, the original OBS before they merged with Streamlabs, is what I'm using right now. I don't have as many options, but it still works. You know, my chat layout isn't as snazzy, but like I said, it works. It still works. So here we are. Hold on, let me send this out because I haven't done that yet before we get started. Just in case. Become a member of your own channel. Why does it ask you that? Why? That's how jacked up. Look at that guy. I got a thumbs down. Let me share this. Somebody thumb me down before anything. I mean, that's just typical Defendo behavior. Um, no argument, no counter argument, no real defense. I'm just mad that you say bad things about Tinder. Um, I was actually going to do this on Sunday, but my sister was here. So I pushed it back. Of course. Family's first. Family comes first. Definitely before YouTube. Maybe not for some people. We getting close to E3T. What up? Says Capable Ty. Yes, I'm excited for E3. I am excited. The thing is, like, stupid things like this take away from my excitement. But it hasn't fully taken it away. I'm excited for Skyward Sword HD, and the Amiibo looks super cute. Okay. Well, and you're entitled to that opinion. Hopefully you haven't played it before. Well, that's not fair. If you haven't played it before, you're probably more excited. But I have. And Skyward Sword isn't one of my favorite 3D Zeldas. It's probably my least favorite. I don't know if I want to say that, but maybe. Mario says, I wish Skyward Sword HD more than just one amiibo, though, and not just Zelda. Yeah, I mean, I'll get into that. We were talking about that in Juices Loose podcast. Shadowbox, and maybe it was Winter Drake who downvoted and left. And maybe. have it on Wii, says Mario. Okay. All right. Wait, did it share? Okay, it shared it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. I'm trying to see. Okay, that's what I want to see right there. Let's put that up. Why is? Okay, I don't know. I gotta talk to my ISP because they got some explaining to do. My having net issues lately. I don't understand. I don't understand, man. All right, so Skyward Sword HD. I wanted to do something, but hold on real quick. Give me like 30 seconds. I'm back. Thanks for waiting. All right. So, like I was about to say. All right, so Skyward Sword HD. So you guys already know, I did a video months ago talking about Skyward Sword HD. But let's talk about the game real quick. All right, so Skyward Sword, like I was saying, isn't my favorite 3D Zelda. It's kind of a disjointed Zelda game to me because it has this awesome. I think the story is awesome. I think the characters are great. I think a lot of the dungeons are some of the best dungeons you'll see in a Zelda game to date. I like the visual style of it, the whole watercolor aesthetic to it. Zelda in this version of Zelda is my favorite still, and that is character-wise as well as like character design as well. So those are those things. But there's things about it that bother me in the game. I don't think the what is it called? Stamina meter was quite ready or quite right. I hate the always forget what they're called, but it's like the teardrop little searches became annoying to me. Imprisoned battles were, and that's what I mean about tone. So it's like you have this really cool story with demise and whatnot, and you have this character called the Imprisoned, and it just sounds really cool. But then you get to it, and it's like some big kind of cartoon Captain Caveman looking big toed creature that you run up a hill repeatedly and then chop at its big toes. It's kind of silly, but on one hand that's super silly, and on the other hand it's the story is really cool. So it's just like disjointed. I can think of a sequence where you're on a pirate ship, and it's the whole sequence, the whole pirate ship thing is so cool because it's like not pirate ship, but just the ship. I don't think it was a pirate ship. You're on this ship, and you know this creature is attacking the ship, and all these tentacles come in. Really cool, kind of scary, kind of dark. That whole setup is great. And then when you go to fight the creature, man, that creature looks like something out of a really bad cartoon. Like I was expecting something really cool, and that creature I kind of giggled looking at the character design of it. So not my favorite. So there's things like that that keep it from the consistent Zelda, the consistent overall Zelda. Now Zeldas have issues sometimes with starting Again, another thing in that game is the tutorial sequence, basically. The kind of disjointed nature of the game itself, where stuff is separated, and that that's due to limitations of the Wii. And so that's why I always felt like Skyward Sword should have waited and just came out for the Wii U. We wouldn't be needing a Skyward Sword HD at this point, but it is what it is. So there's limitations with 88 megabytes of RAM on the Wii, so they had to but that kind of stuff affected my enjoyment of the game, because by the time in 2011 we had these massive games on other platforms like the Mass Effect series and stuff like that, and it was almost like stepping back when I played Skyward Sword, because I had kind of not been playing my Wii all that much up until Skyward Sword came out, and so when it came out, it was like stepping back into like basically a step back in the world size and visuals, obviously, but that's neither here nor there. I could deal with that, but it's just like the mechanics of the game, which felt like a step back as far as how it didn't freely flow. I'd been playing Skyrim, so it was like not like comparatively, it felt like a step back. But everything, that's basically me talking about why it's not my favorite game, or my favorite Zelda game. It's still one of my favorite games, but not one of my favorite Zelda games, if you understand. So, yeah. But we got it, and I went all out, because I always go all out for my Zelda games, and I got this beautiful box here, and this wonderful package, which was $10 more than a full price game. So this was $70, $69.99 at the time, and as you can see, it comes with the soundtrack CD, and it's still in here. This lovely controller, which was at least $40 still at the time, I believe. This is the Wii Motion Plus, so this is the best technology on the Wii, or anywhere as far as motion controls go at the time. I would say it's a $40 value, and then you have a $50 or let's say $50 game. It's, I think most Wii games came out at $50. So you have $90 package here, but you get some really cool stuff with the $90 package, or $90 worth, because it only costs $70. But then I didn't even add in like the soundtrack CD. So a lot of value in here. A lot of value. You can push that up to $100. So this was worth $100 probably, and they gave it to us for obviously $70. So great value. And as a Nintendo fan, I'm used to getting great value. It's something Nintendo has always done, as far as I can remember. Except for back maybe during the NES, but I don't really remember the NES era a whole lot. I wasn't paying attention to prices and all that stuff at that time. I was just a little kid, wanting to play Nintendo. But when I started actually paying attention to Nintendo, big time, which was Super Nintendo, that's when I started to see value and whatnot. So the value proposition for this is excellent, right? A nice snazzy looking box to boot. So a great overall package. So here we go, fast forward to 2021, and we're getting the HD version, and I put in quotes because that's basically all it is. We're getting the HD version of this, and it costs $10 less than this, and they've barely done anything to the game. And one of the things that is really cool to the game, they're making you pay $25 for extra. So we'll get into that. But it also comes with, or it doesn't come with, it's there's what do you call them? Joy-Cons. There are Legend of Zelda Joy-Cons that look really cool. But again, my joy of Joy-Cons, if you will, has waned with the issues with the Joy-Cons, and I've had plenty of them. I still do. But those Joy-Cons are how much? $70 for those Joy-Cons. So they didn't put one. They could at least put one in, because I understand Joy-Cons technically are two controllers. But if you threw one in the box, say of Skyward Sword HD, like the left, say that like the left Joy-Con, right? Threw that in the box, you know, because that way you would at least have a nice, cool, snazzy looking uh, Joy-Con on one side anyway. And that's, I mean, to me, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, most people, everybody already has Joy-Con, so they know you got a right one. So just be cool to give us, you know, a left Joy-Con with the, you know, Triforce and all that good stuff. You know, like what we got. And if you want the other one, you have to buy that one. To me, that's cool. That would be the equivalent of what this is. Putting one of the Joy Cons in the box, let's say the left one, and you know, soundtrack seat. I mean, this is Zelda's anniversary, 35th anniversary, right? So you would think, again, value, they would do something. This was Zelda's 25th, right? When this came out, it was the 25th anniversary, and so they did something really nice for us. But this new Nintendo, bro, they don't give a damn. And some of these Nintendo fans are uh, are fine with it, and I don't understand because I know a lot of them, especially, are around my age, and they should know better. They know better. I can, you know, give a pass to somebody who's younger, new to Nintendo. Maybe the Switch is their first Nintendo console since GameCube or something like that, you know, or before GameCube even, and 64. And there are people like that. So I can give them somewhat of a pass. But some of these Nintendo fans, I know better. So, again, value proposition. So it's already not there for me. You're just giving a bare bones HD port of the game, HD remaster, if you will. So before we move on, let's get into HD remasters from the competition, shall we? And I have a bunch here. From the PS3. This is when I was kind of really excited about HD remasters because it was a very new thing, and to see, you know, PlayStation 2 games bumped up in HD and widescreen and all that good stuff, 60 frames, some of them, was a nice, wonderful sight to see. But here's the thing: the value proposition in these are much better, and these range from 50 to 60 or 40 to 60, 40 to $50 in value when they first came out. So here's Ratchet and Clank. This is 3 games for less than what I'm paying for Skyward Sword HD. 3 games. This is 3 games in the Ratchet and Clank series. I feel like there was one more. Oh, those vouchers, okay, and a demo. So there's only 3 games, but there's 3 games for $10 cheaper, at least $10 cheaper, if not 20. Can't remember exactly what this was when it first came out. Then Skyward Sword HD, right? So you have that. Then you have Final Fantasy. This is a huge franchise. You can say, well, Ratchet and Clank, whatever Ratchet and Clank. This is Final Fantasy from Square. This is a huge franchise. 10 and 10-2 are both on here. And they obviously got the HD treatment. And the HD treatment in Skyward Sword is no better than this. It's no better than what we got on this. When did this come out? 10 years ago? Let me see if there's a date on here. 2013. 2013. All right. So less than 10 years ago. And you got 2 games here. 2 massive games from a huge franchise. Still cheaper than Skyward Sword's 1 game, right? Then you have Zone of the Enders. This is, this is kind of the only Kojima games I do like, or I am a fan of. Zone of the Enders HD Collection. So there's 2 games from the PS2 on here. This was certainly $40, I remember, when that came out. So $20 cheaper than Skyward Sword HD for 2 games that got remastered. Then you have the vaunted Jak and Daxter HD Collection remastered, 60 frames. So it's everything that Skyward Sword is, but there's 2 extra games in here. For, I believe this was $50 when it came out, and that is in 2000. Does it say? I don't see if it says it in. I don't see the year anywhere on here. It should be 2004. I see that's when Jak and Daxter originally came out, but I don't see the updated year. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So 3 games for $10 cheaper. Then you have Kingdom Hearts, 1 and 2, or actually, you have Kingdom Hearts Final Remix. This is like the first game. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, or Rechain, I should say, and then Kingdom Hearts 358 Days. This is basically Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 with everything, any kind of extra content added in right here. So you have it here. And that was, I believe, $50 when it first came out. Then you have this is the PSP or this is God of War 1 and 2 HD remastered, with all the bells and whistles. 2 games from a large, huge franchise that still exists today. And the last one is the wrong one. I also have the PSP games remastered in HD for God of War. So again, better value. So it's already, to me, was already a debacle before anything else. But we're going to continue going on in the value proposition. So let's leave the competition alone, right? Let's leave the competition alone. I'm going to read some of these, some of you guys chat before I go on here. We're going to leave the competition alone, and we're just going to stick to Nintendo's value proposition. That's what people will say. Well, Nintendo ain't trying to be like, that's a bad, that's a bad take on it. Nintendo's not, trying to be like Sony, blah, blah, blah. Well, these are good things that Sony is doing and Microsoft or wherever we're doing, and that's the kind of stuff you should copy. But anyway, we'll stick to Nintendo and Nintendo's value proposition. So let me read here. You guys are saying real quick. I think I read it. The president looked like a Bulburb from Pikmin in the Berserk armor, says in NYC Majestic. True. Hey, looking forward to Pimp Hand. You have ready for bad Nintendo practice. No, Frank Hardy. Bruce Kent. If they drop more cardboard, they ain't winning. NYC Majestic, I have that. It's dope. Great value. He's talking about the Skyward Sword. What did they call it? Anything? They didn't really call it anything. It was the 25th anniversary of Skyward, or of Zelda. This is basically like the collector's edition or whatever, special edition. Call Me Chemo says just play Skyward Sword on Wii U in HD. For real. I mean, you at least get your 16:9. You get your widescreen if you do that. Let's see. The only thing I have left is the music disc, says Call Me Chemo. Oh, that sucks. Shadowbox, and ever since you talked about the new corporate Nintendo, it got me thinking how we went through 3 eras of Nintendo: the Yamauchi era, the Iwata era, and now strictly Nintendo in-house era. Yeah. NYC, this release needed all the help in the world to do right by people, and that teleport lock is just, I don't know, pathetic. Yeah, man, it is. We'll get to that in a minute, but we're gonna stick to the value proposition, as I was saying, the value proposition for Nintendo themselves. So let's just stick to what Nintendo has done, and obviously, you can't get better than Iwata, So as far as him caring about how gamers felt, and making sure Nintendo always brought value to them, that was one of his core main things, right? So let's go to the lovely Wind Waker. Oh, let's before we go there, let's go to this lovely package here. This is the Legend of Zelda promotional collector's edition promotional disc. Includes 4 classic games. So you get Legend of Zelda, you get Zelda 2 Adventures of Link, you get Ocarina of Time, and you also get Majora's Mask on this disc. That's what's on this disc right here. Guess how much I paid for it? $0. I paid $0 for this. Now this is worth a lot of money right now, and I would never sell it anyway, but I paid $0 for this. All I did was have a subscription to Nintendo Power, and I renewed it. And I got this wonderful super value thing right now, because this is probably worth over $200 at this point. But like I said, it's not for sale. And it says it right there at the bottom, not for resale. Let's see if you can see it. It's kind of hard to see. It's too much bright light. But it says not for resale, and that's real. Make sure it's in there. Yeah, it's in there. So yeah, got this for free. This is value Nintendo. They cared about me as a customer as far as being continuing to support Nintendo Power. And there were other ways you can get this. I think you could register your GameCube and there's some games and you can get this. So that wasn't the only way, if I remember correctly. Not just Nintendo Power, but that's how I got this Nintendo Power. My Nintendo Power renewal at around that time. All right, so that's wonderful. But they're not done. We're not done yet, right? We're not done yet. So I pre-ordered this lovely game here, and I wasn't excited about it right away because a lot of people saw the Zelda demo, Space World 2000 demo, and we were looking for a dark, mature Zelda. And then they showed it with this blinky-eyed Zelda the next E3, and we're like, what is that? It's like, you can have Mario be kitty, but keep our Zelda mature. But fantastic game. For a long time, this was my favorite Zelda game. Well, it was tied with Ocarina of Time, and it's still pretty much tied with Ocarina of Time. I love this game to death, right? And you know what? Nintendo was like, you love Zelda. You are supporting us in a tough time because the GameCube didn't sell all that great either. So it wasn't like Nintendo had droves, oodles and oodles of money. I mean, the GBA was doing really well, and the GameCube did fine. It did okay. It was a profitable console, but it just didn't do what Nintendo wanted it to do. Nintendo, I think, believed it was going to sell, I want to say 80 million units or something. That was their projection for it. Obviously, it didn't meet that. It was 21 millions, 22 million, somewhere around there. But a core Nintendo fan, huge supporter. I went out and bought this game, or went out and pre-ordered this game. And you had to pre-order it for the bonus. I pre-ordered this game, even with my apprehension, of the 10-year-old Link. I wanted a mature Link, blah, blah, blah. But we got that later. So Nintendo gave me this wonderful gem that I didn't even know existed, and at the time, and that is Ocarina of Time. So I got Ocarina of Time twice on GameCube, which is whatever. But the cool thing was the Master Quest. This was basically DLC, and we never got this. This was something I think they were planning for the 64DD disc drive for N64. But that thing flopped in Japan, so we never got it over here. And then a lot of games that were gonna come out for it either got put on cartridges or just canceled outright. So, or waited for the GameCube, like Doshin the Giant. Doshin the Giant was gonna be a 64 DD game, and then they put it out, but only in PAL, I think in Japan. They never even gave us Doshin the Giant in North America, which annoyed the hell out of me. But anyway, I can get it now. But I got, again, this wonderful bonus just for, supporting Nintendo, saying, hey, I'm going to go out and buy this game for your fledgling console. And what a wonderful value. This is another game that's, maybe not as much as the collector's edition, but I think it's over $100 in value, probably like 120 right now, but again, I'd never saw it. So great value for Zelda games for special occasions. And so I point that out because, again, what we're getting right now is not Iwata Nintendo, obviously. I call it fuck you Kawa for Kawa era. But let's get to more recent times. So Nintendo obviously remastered Twilight Princess and what I just showed you here, Wind Waker. So you got Wind Waker. I don't have the box with me here. I do have it. But this came not by itself. This was $50. $50 with this. The Wolf Link Amiibo. Excellent. I think there was some kind of mode, basically like a horde mode in Twilight Princess HD that you can play using the Wolf Link Amiibo. But also, they let us know that Wolf Link would also do something for the future Zelda game, and that is you could make Wolf Link appear to help you in battles. He's not, it's just a cool thing. It's not you don't need him, obviously. He's not overly effective, but it's a really cool thing to see Wolf Link running around in Breath of the Wild. So he works in Breath of the Wild as well, and tons of amiibos. Do all amiibos work I think all amiibos work in Breath of the Wild, where you can get food and materials and rupees and all kinds of stuff. Not rupees. There's no rupees in this game. But you get all kinds of cool stuff, right? You get diamond, not diamond, but there's this stuff, materials. So $50 with an amiibo. Yeah, that destroys Skyward Sword HD already. And this wasn't just a simple port. They got quality of life stuff, and we'll get back to quality of life, won't we? They got quality of life stuff. Using the gamepad with this is amazing. You know, it shows the potential of the gamepad that Nintendo kind of squandered. But also, I mean, they went back. I think Grezzo was the one that did this remaster. They went back and they changed textures in the game. It wasn't just, oh, we're gonna HD the textures. They actually did like new art that linked linked little pun there to Breath of the Wild, which is amazing that they went in and done that kind of work. And again, $50, but this was the Iwata era, so it was a little different then. I know it felt like a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago. And then also, this came first, actually. Probably should show this one first. This is Wind Waker HD. And there is some quality of life stuff in here. They actually made some changes to make the game flow a lot better. Because if you know about that Triforce Shard chase at the end, much better in this game. Obviously, using the gamepad is great. They fixed kind of the disjointed nature of sailing, all kinds of stuff, right? And it looks gorgeous. This is the best HD remaster I think there is. I'm not talking about remakes and stuff. I'm talking about just straight up remasters. This game is gorgeous. And this was 60, right? I think it was 60. And Nintendo touted how they basically did this game in 6 months or something crazy like that. But let me see if it has on here. So gyroscope, you can take selfies with Link, which is really cool, and put them on Miiverse, which doesn't exist anymore. Keep your map always at the ready to swipe, command the Wind Waker, so you don't have to, call the winds every time you wanted to use the winds to push your ship like you did in the original game. Obviously off TV play and all that good stuff. So again, amazing value for other Zelda games that Skyward Sword HD doesn't come close to. So before I get to the final part of this, let me read what you guys are saying in here. I read that already. Bruce Kent, these are drugs, right? Shadowbox, and I think, remember, you could get it by pre-ordering Wind Waker. Are you talking about pre-ordering Wind Waker? The only one that I know you could get back then for pre-ordering Wind Waker was this Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time Master Quest. This was the Wind Waker pre-order, as far as I remember. But this promotional disc was from, like I said, re-upping your Nintendo Power subscription. This is how I got it. Or registering like your GameCube and some games, from what I remember. But yeah, we'll get into that. Nintendo released NES Remix 1 and 2 on one physical Wii U disc. Nintendo didn't have to do this, as they could have easily sold each game separately, digitally. But Iwata cared about the customer value. Yes, Nintendo guy. That is also true. Fresh ingredient, Skyward Sword doing the same as Twilight HD, but for money and Amiibo sold separately. Yeah. Like I said, I think for me, Twilight Princess is a little bit better as far as the remastering goes, but similar. Nintendo guy. The Amiibo fast traveling feature in Skyward Sword HD seems pointless to me. I don't remember a lack of fast traveling being an issue, as there were plenty of bird statues throughout the game. Uh, I'll talk about that in a second. Please don't make me buy an Amiibo so I can change the wind on the Switch version. No. Yeah, so I thought about that too. I was like, would I really need it? There were times where I would have liked it when I was in a dungeon, as far as the fast traveling goes, because I wanted um, uh, I wanted to have certain, items and weapons and stuff, because you had to kind of get your weapons from the bazaar and in the Skyloft. Um, and there have been times where I was like wanting a fairy, and there was nowhere. I mean, nowhere around the area where I was could you get like more hearts and simple stuff. But overall, like for me, I wouldn't um, um, I wouldn't pay for it, but it'd be a nice feature to have in a game if you are somebody who's already gone through it, right? Because I talked about the disjointed nature of the game. It would be nice to be able to skip some of that disjointed stuff, right? And you'd be able to do that using, using the fast travel from anywhere thing. So that's the thing. That to me, that's like what's it called? New Game Plus thing, right? So New Game Plus. So it's like, oh, I get this feature for beating the game because I've already beat it, So that's how I'm thinking it mentally. For me, it was like, I already beat this game. For me to want to play it again, I need to have some kind of incentive. And that would be the incentive, right? For me, somebody who's played the game and is not in love with it, but I will probably go back and play it again with this feature because it would make it a little bit more pleasant. So I think for me, I feel like that feature is for somebody like me. Um, but unfortunately, again, the value proposition is not there. Um, my plan is to only buy the Amiibo because it looks cool as hell. And I think that feature should have just been built into the damn game. Um, Again, it's a new game plus thing. I shouldn't have to buy an Amiibo to access that. It should be something that's right there for me, for people like me who's beaten this game already, and something like that would definitely make it better. And not even just me, but like people who never played the game before, and so you have these kind of archaic old ways of Zelda going on that a lot of fans were getting tired of, and you could smooth it out by giving everybody the option to just jump fast travel where they want. It would make it I think it would make it more appealing to everybody, make the experience better. Because outside of that, what quality of life is there? They haven't really talked about anything else. So, you know, uh, but for me, I wouldn't buy Skyward Sword HD because of its lack of value proposition. But one of the main reasons is I love the motion controls. For me, this game was built for motion controls, and that's how you should play it. So for me, mapping motion controls to a analog stick is not very intuitive, and it's not any. I would never want really to play the game that way. But I would certainly buy it and put it in a collection if they gave me a nice value proposition, which they haven't done. So if this is how you play the game, this is how the first time you're playing Skyward Sword. I mean, I'm happy because it's one of the lowest selling. It's certainly the lowest selling 3D Zelda game, but it's one of the lowest selling games in the franchise, especially being on a console that's over 100 million. But again, at the time this game came out, the Wii was pretty much dead, so I'm sure that affected the sales. Um, so yeah, for me, the way to play this game is with my nunchuck as my shield and my Wii Remote Plus as my sword, because there's some really particular movements that you're doing. I mean, it's 1-to-1, forward, back. You tilt your sword forward, it goes forward. It's in the 3D space. This is Wii Motion Plus, not just Wii, the original Wii controls, the waggle control, like you say you got in Twilight Princess on Wii. It was not like that. It wasn't just swipe, 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 and it just swings like a button press. This was actually you're moving it around, and Link moves the sword the same way you do it on the screen. So you can turn things, keys and stuff. You do puzzles based on like emotion based puzzles and stuff like that. To me, I don't see how that's going to be any kind of intuitive or any kind of fun doing it using an analog stick, because it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, smooth and seamless. It's going to be kind of disjointed because you're mapping motion controls, full on Wii Motion Plus controls, to an analog stick. It's going to be janky. So I would never play it that way. Anyway, so the value proposition. So you put this feature and you lock it behind the Amiibo. Now the Amiibo price to me is fine, mostly. Maybe I would have liked it at $19.99 or something. But $25 is fine. It looks like a great Amiibo. Looks like some great work has been put into it. Very quality. The Amiibo quality from the beginning to now is like night and day. The Amiibos look so much better now. So they're putting in some good work. And it's two figures on one, on one stand. So again, I get it. If you double up 13, you come up with 26. So it's right around where it probably should be. So that I don't have a problem with the cost of the Amiibo. It's just what you're locking behind that cost. So you got to buy the game, $60. Then you buy the Amiibo, $70, $80, $5 plus tax. You're over $90 to play a game. You can play it without it, obviously, but then you don't get the full feeling of a celebration. You have to pay for the celebration, which is really whack. Nintendo should make you feel like you're getting something. You're getting something of value, and then I didn't even add in the cost of the Joy Cons, and you're over $100. You're to $150 or more. So it reeks, man. It's not good. It's not Nintendo. And all these, like I said, whiny ass fans who get mad when I bring this stuff up. Not everybody gets mad. Like, there's some people who are going to buy it. They're listening to me right now, and they may not agree with me, but they're not mad about it. My issue is with people that get mad and just come up with these weird, scenarios to deflect and defend. That's the kind of stuff that really gets under my skin, gets on my nerves. Because there's no defense. There is no defense. You can get mad that I'm complaining, but you have no defense. You can't combat what I'm complaining about. You can't say you're wrong because of this. If you can, please get on here. We'll go live. We'll talk about it. But I'm gonna think that nobody's gonna take me up on that offer. Like I said, you can, and like I said, you can like this. You can buy this, no problem. I don't have a problem with anybody buying this. For whatever reasons they have, because we're all Nintendo fans. I get it. I've spent money on stuff that I probably shouldn't have bought, that I wasn't quite the value, and it wasn't just for Nintendo, other companies as well. Everybody does it. Everybody has done that because they just want that thing. So I get it. But for me, like I said, all these reasons, all these factors, it just completely destroys any desire I have to buy this. I would never want to do that. Never want to buy this. Not a good value, and it's not a good look for Nintendo. So for me, I'm seeing. Sorry, I hit the mic. I hope that didn't kill anybody's ears. For me, I'm seeing a change in Nintendo. I'm seeing a systematic change in Nintendo, and there's people fighting against me saying that, but I'm seeing this. This is clearly a different era, and while it may be all beautiful and great now, the Switch is selling really well, right? It's selling great. The history of Nintendo, that's not going to always happen. That's not going to be the case, right? They don't go from one generation to the next smoothly. Usually, there's only one time where they really outperformed probably anybody's expectations, where they actually went up, other than the Switch, obviously, and that was the Wii. You go from NES to SNES, they lose about 10 million units sold, right? You go to Super Nintendo or N64 from Super Nintendo, you lose another 15 or so million in sales, console sales. And you get to GameCube, and it drops another, 10, 11 million in sales, right? It wasn't until the Wii had to be a phenomenon for Nintendo to get back into like really high selling consoles, as far as that goes. And then you get to the Wii U, obviously the worst selling console. It dropped from 101 million down to 13.5 million or something like that. Huge drop, right? So yeah, you're on that flux. You're on that Wii type of trajectory, and that's great right now. But after the Wii came the Wii U, right? Let's not forget. That's not to say that it's going to be that big of a drop off. But I'm sure, in my heart of hearts, unless they come up with something really crazy again, it's going to be at least half. The next console will probably sell, 30 to 50 million. Unless again they come up with some crazy concept that can't be ignored, right? But what my point is, basically, the gravy train doesn't always last, right? So, instead of pissing off your core fans, just continuing to do that, or not all of them. It's not all core fans, but a decent amount you're pissing off regularly. It's to the point where it becomes a meme, and we start expecting you to do something stupid. My excitement for buying your products drops and drops and drops. Like, go back 2017, 2018. I was super ecstatic for the Switch and the Joy-Cons and what they could do and blah, 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 blah. You can see in the videos. I didn't change, but the console itself changed. Like, so the quality of the console started to show itself. Because I was somebody who actually used my Joy-Cons all the time. Even with having a Pro Controller, I loved using split Joy-Cons. That's the only way I played Mario Odyssey, and I'll only play Mario Odyssey that way even now, is split Joy-Con. I played 260 hours of Breath of the Wild with split Joy-Cons. That's the way I play. I will never play Breath of the Wild using a Pro Controller. I just like the way it works with the split Joy-Cons and being able to aim, with one hand. I mean, you can still aim using the controller, but this feels more intuitive as an aim. It feels like I'm aiming my arrow. Feels better to me, right? So, continue to burn even a percentage of your fan base, your core fan base. We may not show up, right away. I'm always there day one with Nintendo consoles. And that matters. Ask the GameCube. Ask the Wii U if it matters that you get a lot of early adoption. Look at the Switch. The Switch got early sales and major early sales, right? And that gives you momentum. But when you don't get that, you get the Wii U and you get the GameCube. And luckily, the 3DS was able to sustain it. It sold really well initially, and it kind of fell off a cliff. And luckily, Nintendo was able to rebound, and it got up to 75 million now. So there will be consequences for continuing to do this, and I'm trying to avoid those consequences. I don't want to get to a point where Nintendo's in trouble selling to the casual. But also pissed off a lot of their core fans, because then they'll really be in trouble. Because the core fans propped up the Wii U. The Wii U was a profitable console. It didn't sell well, but a lot of its success financially had to do with core fans saving your ass. Even though the Wii U didn't sell that many consoles, the games sold, the core Nintendo games, first party games, sold well, overperformed. They overperformed. Mario Kart 8 overperformed on Wii U. As far as I'm concerned, Donkey Kong overperformed on Wii U. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze overperformed on Wii U. You know, Splatoon overperformed. These games overperformed looking at their install base. New Super Mario Bros. U. So you don't want to upset your core fans continuously. It's one thing, here and there you're gonna upset core fans. Like, you can't please everybody all the time, right? But if you're consistently doing really bad things, like stupid things that you should not be doing, you might do it. Like, I think every generation, I was really excited and wondering what Nintendo was going to bring next. And at this point, I'm not. With the switch to whatever's coming next. I'm not. This is new territory for me. Coming out of N64, I was ready to go. Right. Coming off the Super Nintendo, I had to be talked about because I was like, I'm quitting video games, not playing video games. I'm getting grown. But my friend got me super excited for the N64, and I was following and paying attention to everything that had to do with that. And same thing, going from GameCube to Wii. That was probably one of my most excited times. Was going from GameCube to Wii, the revolution, right? So yeah, like, stop doing this stuff. This is not good Nintendo. This is not the Nintendo I came up with. Following and loathing, not loathing. I'm loathing you now. Admiring and whatnot. This is not that Nintendo for me. Nobody's asking Furukawa to be Iwata, but just don't be Furukawa. Just don't. Again, you're a short-sighted dude, bro. Like, from what I see right now, your vision as a president of Nintendo is super short-sighted, and that is not good for the future of Nintendo. I actually care about that. I actually care about the future of Nintendo. Where a lot of these people who are mad at me and get mad because I bring this stuff up, do you care? Do you care about the future of Nintendo, or do you care more about licking Nintendo's wounds or trying to protect them from criticism? Because that's what it seems like to me. You care more about that than you care about the future of Nintendo. Because I actually care. I'm a huge fan, and I want them to continue to strive. Because I always pull for Nintendo over everybody else because they are the only current core video games company, and as being one of the major console makers. Microsoft's not a core games company. They started with PC software, operating systems. They're not a core gaming company. Sony's not a core gaming company, although you couldn't tell from the rabid fan base. But they're an electronics company. They distribute music and movies. They had an easy path to gaming. Yes, way easier than Nintendo. Nintendo will always have my respect over them because they came in as a toy company and they wanted to sell video games during a crash. They wanted to sell you video game consoles during a video game crash. And they worked their asses off to do that. The values that the company created at that time seem to be forgotten. The work they put in to assure gamers, to assure the public that yes, video games is not dead. We had a bad era there. Atari killed it mostly, but video games is a viable market. It is a viable. It's a viable venue, and they brought it back. And they will always have my respect over anybody for doing that because that was a tough thing to do. This little Japanese company is going to come over here to America, set up shop in New York, and sell us video game consoles. No, nobody wanted to touch those things, and so that's the core value of Nintendo that I remember, and I want to see come back. I don't want to see them lose that, and with every year that passes, I worry about the heart of Nintendo, like what what they're going to be about. I mean, like I said before, we lost Reggie to retirement. We lost Iwata. Um, Yamauchi's way gone, and we're about to lose Miyamoto in the next few years. You can't keep doing this forever. Um, you know, so the heart of Nintendo, them losing that core is a worry for me. And when I see these types of things that are so far away from their value system, I get worried because I actually care about that stuff. Do people mad at me care? Do you care? Or are you just trying to, make your YouTube dollars and keep everybody happy? Or are you just trying to pr- do some, I don't know, weird white knighting for them, thinking that's going to make them better? It's not. It's not going to make them better. And stop being so defeatist. Nintendo's just going to do what Nintendo's going to do. No, that doesn't have to be the case. That's the case because you're always protecting them and nothing gets changed because people, again, we put up with this stuff. But if we didn't, then we wouldn't have these issues. Now, right now, maybe we can't control it. Maybe there's just way too many casuals on Switch, way too many people who just, like their Switches. They don't know about any of this stuff. They don't pay attention to any of this stuff. There's way too many of them buying things right now, so it doesn't matter, right? Maybe you feel that way, but that doesn't mean you have to change your principle. I haven't. I haven't changed my core principle. I still feel what I feel. I still believe what was true to be true, and that's how I roll, right? And even if you don't feel that way, why, punch me in the face about it? Like, well, this is my opinion, and I feel strongly about it, obviously. And I give you evidence. It's not like I'm just pulling stuff out of my behind to be mad. I'd rather not be mad. I'd rather be enjoying F-Zero and Star Fox and all this great stuff and really nice package for Super Mario 3D All Stars we didn't get. That was a joke. Tell me that wasn't a joke. It was pathetic. It was a pathetic celebration of Mario. If you wanted to celebrate Mario, you had to do a lot of buying. You had to do, you get maybe you go get the Mario Kart Alive thing. Maybe you go buy the Game and Watch thing. Maybe you buy the Lego set. You're doing a lot of buying to celebrate. Make me feel good about my purchase, my one purchase to celebrate Mario. You know, and so that was pathetic. And and here we are. I don't expect a whole lot from Zelda. This is already bad. 35th of Zelda. This is already not good. You're giving me, you're offering me a pretty bare bones port from Skyward Sword for less value than when I bought this. For much less value when I bought this. So it's continuing. You can talk about 3D All Stars and how it was, limited and whatnot. It's just, you can talk about the bare bones, pathetic nature of the Switch Online with NES and SNES trickled out nonsense. And we used to, on the Wii U, even on the Wii U, we used to be annoyed by quote unquote trickling out. But those games, they came, and they were ours. It wasn't like stuck to some service. It was free online. And I can go on and on about that. But this is about Zelda Skyward Sword HD and what I feel like hasn't happened and what worries me. So there's my rant on that. So let me, I don't think I missed too much here. Not a whole lot of talking. Ever since I read that already. NES Remix, I read that. I think I am at C4 Platinum. Nintendo is treating us like a side hustle right now. LOL. I love my Switch, and I do too. But we still need to catch up to the Wii and Wii U. No blue light, no eShop music, no voice chat. It's just a bare bones freaking system. It's so bare bones. Again, do you have a defense for that? Do you have you have reasoning for that? Are you happy with that? Like, That the freaking 3DS has more features than the Nintendo Switch, the soon to be 100 million selling Nintendo Switch. Come on, come on. Um, it's bare bones, and they're just getting by. They're just skating by, doing nothing. Let's see, Nintendo guy. It's been a decade since I played through Skyward Sword, so memory is a bit fuzzy. Yeah, Skyward Sword for me again was not the most pleasant. The time mechanic amazing. The dungeons were fantastic, um, but not so for boss battles. Girahim is an awesome character. Demise is an amazing character. Um, what's her name? Fee. I like Fee a lot. She was kind of annoying. she bordered on Navi, but again, at the time, I didn't care as much about any of that stuff. But the idea of Fee and what she becomes is amazing. I think that's just awesome story and whatnot. And I love that incorporated music. That's one of the things I really wanted Nintendo to get back to with the Zelda's games because I loved Ocarina of Time for that music aspect. Being able to use Ocarina to sing songs and whatnot, or to play songs. I thought that was a really cool mechanic. It really brought me in to that game. So I was happy that they kind of did that again. I mean, they did it a bit with the Wind Waker as well, but um, I like when they did. I like when they do that stuff with the instruments and stuff. Especially like Majora's Mask was great. What about those Joy Cons? Yeah, yeah, those Joy Cons. Call me Chemo. I love the Motion Plus controls of Skyward Sword. Me as well, my friend. That game didn't need fast travel. Yeah, it doesn't need. It's not about need. Like, uh, quality of life is quality of life, right? The game is still fine without these things, but it just makes the game more smoother. It's again, it's an incentive to buy a new version of the game, right? Outside of visuals, for me, visuals really isn't enough. I would like them to, maybe fix something that was disjointed, um, or make the game more pleasant to navigate, like they do with the Wii remote or the Wii U gamepad, right? Makes the game easier to navigate. You got your map there always. You got your items in front of you. That kind of stuff, is really cool. And not having to, switch things by pausing the menu and switching it's nice to be able to do things like that on the fly. So it's not something you need. Fast travel, you don't need it. It's, you know, that's not the argument. It's not about what you need. It's about giving incentive and value uh, to something that you're going to basically be playing again. For a lot of people, they're going to be playing it again. Um, One of the reasons I love playing New Game Plus on, like, right, let's say Horizon. Horizon, I like New Game Plus a lot because you come back with all your stuff from the beginning. And so, it's cool that it kind of breaks the game in a way. It's almost like you're speed running in a way if you want to. It kind of breaks the game. So it's a nice, cool extra, right? And it shouldn't be an extra you have to pay for in a game that's 10 years old. It should be stuff that comes with the game because that's just a normal occurrence. Nobody would like, from any game. I don't think any game fan would be cool with, saying, "Oh, here's a HD version of something you played before," or here's a, HDer, more, maybe it has better resolution. Maybe it goes from 720 to 1080p and goes from 30 frames to 60 frames. That's cool and all, but I think a lot of people will still expect more. Maybe multiple games. That's one way to expect more and to get more, and that's what a lot of companies do. Mass Effect Ultimate Edition, right? All 3 games remastered. You can change the not in this game, but in certain games you can change them on the fly and get the old graphics. That kind of stuff is cool. That you don't need that, right? That's just a nice extra that you kind of expect at this point. So you shouldn't have to pay for an extra. That's an extra, right? You shouldn't have to pay extra for it because you know you most times 90%, 95% of the time that stuff comes with the new game. It comes with the newer version of that game. So it's not about need. You don't need fast travel, of course not. The game worked just fine. But again, it's a nice feature for those of us who's played through it, and you get a little God feeling, if you will. That's what you get from New Game Plus. In Horizon, I come back with the ancient armor, and yes, they have ancient armor in Horizon, very similar to Breath of the Wild. So you get the ancient armor. It's the strongest armor in the game. It regenerates your health, and so to get that, you feel godlike. And it's cool because it's just like if you just go back and play through the game again, you're just going through the same motions. But now that you have this power, this new power, this new ability, it feels different in many ways. It feels like a different game. You take more chances, than you would before. It just makes the game fun again, but in a new way. Let's see. Nintendo guy. Next thing you know, the next 3D Mario will have the long jump ability locked behind the Amiibo. Please don't say that. Don't give them ideas, Nintendo guy. Fresh ingredient. We need the mid-gen refresh ASAP. A lot of people are ready for a Pro. I'm fine, but I understand it. NYC. It's sad to realize that the company has to not be doing well in order to give you fair value and stuff. Yeah, isn't that crazy? They give you great value when they're not doing well, right? They actually try, but when they're doing well, they don't. But that's even on the Wii though. The Wii, they were doing well, and they still gave us really good value. If you look at some of those collections, maybe outside of what was it, Mario 25th, because it was just like All Stars again. But it wasn't just all. They added some stuff in there. At least there was some extras in there, not just a straight up port of All Stars again. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what that is. That's so weird that when they're not doing great, they want to give you value. I kind of understand it because it's like, oh, we really need people to buy our stuff, so let's be extra nice. But if you're extra nice to people when you're doing really well, those multitudes of people will remember that. So you have way more people who are happy about you and what you do as a company. So for the next time, you'll be safer. You'll be in safer hands. Let's see. Shadowbox and Microsoft and Sony were never core gamers. It wasn't till the PS3 they realized, oh, we make video games also. Nintendo guy. I saw an article where Furukawa admitted that he wasn't really all that passionate about Nintendo's own hardware. Yeah, I remember that. His vision on the future of Nintendo is focusing on the mobile gaming division. Yep, I do remember that. If that's the case, that scares me, says Nintendo guy. Yeah, hey, but I guess these Nintendo fans who are mad want that. I guess they'll be happy with that. We'll see. We will see if we have to get to that. I hope we don't, but we'll see. Then I'll just have to transition to Microsoft, I guess, because they're doing a lot of really good things, you know. And then once they finally get their first party going, good gracious, you know, because they do have Rare over there, and they do have IPs that I still care about. So we'll see. Let's see. Anything got that's the key. Okay. The Pro Controller's D-pad needed to be fixed a long time ago. Yeah. I actually bought. I don't have it close to me. I actually bought a new one for mine. I mean, it's crazy. I'm having to buy parts and things to mod my, my video game console currently. It's annoying. Mistakes are made in Monster Hunter. I don't know where you're going with that one. Oh, you mean using the D-pad? I guess. I don't know. and the Joy-Con drift is beyond ridiculous. Yeah, it's insane, and it's so heartbreaking for me, a person who really loved the Joy-Cons and what they stood for. But um, it's unfortunate. I was looking forward to some really cool things with the Joy-Cons, but Nintendo has forgotten about the technology that's in it. They don't use it. They don't even talk about it. Meanwhile, Sony is stealing everybody's thunder with the PS5 controller and all the stuff that it does, all the features and whatnot. Sony is becoming the different guy, the different features guy that Nintendo used to be all the time. And as a Nintendo fan, that's sad and disheartening. And NYC Majestic, they're about to drop the next system. Never mind, this is all over. This or never mind the all this other shady stuff. They never fixed their controllers. What the f? Right. I mean, they barely acknowledge as an issue. I mean, they do technically because they've been fixing, at least in North America, they fix them for free. And I had four. I sent back four to get them fixed, and they're fixed and they work. And who knows how long, but they work right now. But we had to go through we had to get a class action lawsuit before they even acknowledge this issue. And that's just, again, that's bottom lining. That's when you're only thinking about your bottom line. And every company thinks about their bottom line. You have to be a business to be in business, right? So I understand that. I'm not, ignorant to that fact. But when your only motivation is your bottom line, and your bottom line is used to make decisions, that's worrisome. Um, that's when you become overly corporate, and you lose, in a company like Nintendo, you lose that ingenuity, you lose that creative streak, and I feel like they're doing that right now, and that worries me as a Nintendo fan. I actually care about that more than I care about protecting Nintendo. So, it is what it is. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's it. It's sad, sad news, sad situation. I will not partake. I guess, I mean, I'm buying the Amiibo, but I'm buying the Amiibo for the Amiibo. Amiibos to me at this point are figurines. I don't give a shit what Amiibo can do, right? I haven't cared about it since 2015, maybe 2016. Uh, Having Amiibos have a cool feature, for me, died at that moment. After that, they've only become, and I'll use them. Don't get me wrong, I'll use them in games occasionally, but for me, and my son uses them all the time. Um, for me, it's about the figurine itself, having that cool figure. Um, that's what I care about. So locking something compelling, or at least semi-compelling, behind an Amiibo at this point in 2021 makes no goddamn sense. It makes zero sense at this point. That is not an incentive to buy the Amiibo anymore. What it does is not an incentive anymore. There was a time where that was the case, where some fans, including myself, was like, "Oh man, it'd be cool if Nintendo made a game using Amiibo, where you had to use Amiibo to instantiate your character into the game, like a Skylanders type of situation." But that time is long gone. Nobody cares about Skylanders anymore. The Toys to Life thing is dead. It's been dead for 5 years now. So putting stuff on Amiibo at this point, um, especially a feature like that, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's tone deaf, and I just don't understand it. But like I said, it is what it is. It's the situation we're in, and we're gonna see where Nintendo goes. But I am still excited for E3. I hope they knock it out of the park. Um, I hope somebody knocks it out of the park. There's only two major companies as far as console makers, Microsoft and Sony, or Microsoft and Nintendo. So hopefully, one or both of them, hopefully both of them, really kill it at E3 and show some really cool stuff. That's what I'm hoping for. Blow my mind and shut me up for a minute. But that's the thing about this situation. I was really happy, enjoying Mario Golf. because that video came out, 5 minute video showing the different modes and features and whatnot in the game, and I was really high on that. I was really excited about that. I was just about to do a video on it, and my energy for that video got killed by the Skyward Sword amiibo thing, and that's what happens. It happens to me occasionally. So they kill the lead. Nintendo kills the lead story, which is, oh man, look how good Mario Golf looks, to, oh man, look how terrible this amiibo situation is with Skyward Sword. They killed their lead. They were riding high, and they killed the lead with this stupid announcement and situation. They need to rectify this. They need to put this in the game, have you download the feature day one in the day one patch, because this is not good. This is not a good look. But that's it for me. I have nothing else to say about this situation. Thank you guys all for joining. Really appreciate that. Short notice. And I'm super tired. I've been so tired the last couple weeks because I've been my diet's changed and I've been exercising a ton. Trying to be a stunner for the summer. I'm trying to get rid of this quarantine weight. So I've been really working out a whole lot. I probably lost like 15 or so pounds at this point. And my muscles picking up. So yeah, I've been really tired, and it was already hard enough to get on here. And when Nintendo does stuff like this, it makes it even harder, but you know how it is. But yeah, folks, that's it. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching and listening to my whining about Nintendo, crying about Nintendo all the time. Do you like anything? Again, thanks, guys. And that's it. And peace out.